I know you're listening. You're here because something isn't right. Something feels twisted, upside down. Things don't add up. Hello, human. Welcome to our twisted universe. TikTok personality Jus Jessi talks about her spiritual awakening and the path to wellness after surviving cancer. Our videos are for entertainment purposes only. No medical advice is offered. Please consult with a doctor.
Welcome to our Twisted Universe. Today we're going to be talking to Jus Jessi. She's a TikTok personality and she's here to tell us about her awakening and why she started her channel and some interesting connections she's made over the last few years. Hi, Jessi. How are you doing?
Hi. Hello. Doing really, really surreal. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
I feel surreal. Yeah, just living the dream, literally. Actually can say that and mean it.
That's amazing. I saw your TikTok and you are dynamic and compelling. And so I just had to get you on our show.
I'm kind of random. Like they say you need to have a niche, and I'm like, I don't know what my niche is because I post a bunch of different stuff, you know. You never know from one day to the next what you're gonna get.
I feel like you're getting a channeled message or guidance.
I'm actually in school to help me figure out how to tell the difference, but I guess so, yes, because a lot of the times it is just an impulsive thing. I've always called myself an impulsive person, so I guess that would be my intuition speaking.
Right brain person?
Left-handed, yeah. Yeah. Thinking the only ones in our right minds.
Yep.
Joe is too.
Yeah, I am too.
Hey, all right.
So what made you start your show?
Okay, wow. Okay, so I went through cancer. The tower year, everyone talks about their tower moment. My tower moment was in 2014 when my mom passed from cancer. It's one of those things you see coming and you think you're prepared for, but there was a lot of unresolved issues, and you know that will really force you to ask yourself some serious questions that you have to deal with for the rest of your life, because you know. And then relationship problems, family problems. I'm a mother. Everything just kind of got super dark in 2014. But from that time on, I really started figuring out who I was, I guess is what, you know.
Okay.
But then I got sick and I had to go through that, which I feel like in all the experiences I've had, no matter how hard they've been, somebody's always had it way worse than I did. You know, like I haven't had the worst of it. So having cancer sucked, having to go to treatments every day sucked. I felt like I was just basically in a coma for 2 months because I got up, I went in, I went home, I went to bed. Just that was the same thing every day, you know. So I'm laying in bed. I'm healing. I'm done with treatments. It's been about 2 months and I get this notification from YouTube, an app I hardly ever use except for on our smart TV for music videos. Sorry, you can't hear that, right? That's my dogs. Anyway, it's for a video with a man named Robert David Steele, and he looks like he's some type of judge, and he's in this big meeting with all these representatives around this huge round table, right? And they're from all over the world, all different ethnicities. And he's talking about the elite, and he's just going on and on about that. And I'm over here like, what is this? Like, is this a movie? Is this a TV show? Like, why did I just get this notification? And what is going on right now? But boy, it was like that video literally just picked me up and threw me down the rabbit hole, because you know, leading with that, how could I not start wanting to know, wait, what is this and what's going on? So of course, like that leads me to the fall of. I watched all 10 of those. Then I watched them again with my husband, and then I watched them again with someone else. And then like it was just like I couldn't get enough of learning what she was, because she did the work. Like the work is there. The explanation, it all makes sense when you put it that way. And then that's when I shot up out of my bed as a person who hated with a passion, like everybody else, right? Because that's what we had been programmed to be without even knowing it, you know? And all of a sudden I was like, oh, he's the good guy. And it like that moment for me was like a total like room spinning. I'm getting dizzy, like I've been had. What's going on here? Why do they hate him so much? And then, you know, and then the rest is history. Like for 6 weeks straight, I got up in the morning, had my coffee, and got to work. And I was reading everything I could find. I was watching everything I could find. I was printing off everything I could print. I was, you know, saving everything I could save. And I was just so down deep that it caused an awakening in myself. So that's what it triggered. Like it triggered my spiritual awakening, because once I realized the truths about that, I mean, you're eventually going to figure out the truth about yourself, about some things. And there were some things that came up, like some childhood traumas, like type stuff, you know. So there was one day where I woke up and it was like a normal, typical day, April 3rd, 2020. It's the day. I call that my second birthday.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
Seriously, yeah.
The day you're born and the day you find out why are the most pivotal moments.
Yes, exactly. So it was like my day, the day I found out, you know, oh my gosh, like it was I can't really explain to you in detail what happened that day. I wish I could. I do kind of have it written down, but it's more like a very long story that I don't know that I could explain correctly right now. But basically, I felt like a switch got turned on, and there were a couple of times where I felt like I was losing my mind, like maybe I was going crazy because I couldn't control my emotions. I couldn't control my thoughts. Like seriously, something got turned on and I couldn't get control of it. And it was freaking me out. Like I didn't know, it was almost like there was a radio turned on or something, you know? And my husband's working from home at the time, and he's going through this with me, and it was so scary for him because him and I both actually thought that I might have to be checked in at one point. Like I felt like there was something happening to me here, you know.
You
And
were
I remember, what
all
would you call it? No, go ahead.
you're on this path all by yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Your
yeah,
husband.
I still can't explain it all, but at one point I remember looking up at the sky, and I was sitting in my backyard in a chair. And I was just like, I remember thinking like I was Trinity from The Matrix when she says, I'm compromised. Like I'm compromised. Like I can't, they've got me, you know? Like I remember thinking that way. Like it was almost like a negative thing. And then eventually, like I just had this like urge to run out the door, like just run out the door barefoot, like just run out the door. Finally, I opened up my front door. My two dogs at the time went running out the front door. They ran straight down to the park that we had like four houses down. We always ran down there. And I ran out after them, and I sat under a tree in the grass, and they were just kind of off doing whatever they do, sniffing. And there was these 5 kids on bikes. It almost seemed like something from a scary movie, but it was so comforting. It was so grounding for me because I was able to, in that moment, put my feet in the grass by the tree, watching the dogs. The kids are riding their bikes. It brought me back to life and brought me back to reality. And nothing like that has happened since. But for about 2 to 3 hours, it's really hard to explain what was happening to me. Like it was like trying to equal balance out
Was
something.
information coming in?
An existential crisis.
Were you having an out-of-body experience?
I feel like it was a flood of past life memories, past life deaths. I felt like I was channeling other people in different
Ah,
situations.
that must have been so intense.
Okay, all right. I'll give you a couple of for instances.
I'm making my, like, I'm getting emotional just.
Are you? Okay, because at one point, I was literally trying to convince my husband that I loved him because I was convinced he was going to kill me. And so I was having to pretend that I was, okay with everything and whatever. And I was secretly planning my escape. I think I was channeling my neighbor because her husband was crazy. Like he was just, I just got this really crazy vibe from him, and you hardly ever saw her. And like I tried to be Facebook friends with her, but she unfriended me. Like he wouldn't let her have friends. Like I just really got a bad vibe. But this was before I knew what I could know. But I feel like I was channeling that. But I was also channeling other stuff. And then there was this other story going on. And it was just like someone kept flipping the channel. And I kept going back and forth between these different scenarios, these different lives that were playing out all at once for me, and I was trying to do all the things. I was taking a shower, but then in the shower, I started having like a past life memory of being burned at the stake. And that about did me in. I was just cowered down in a ball in the shower. Like, it was just like it felt like an entire day's worth of events, and it literally took place in 2 to 3 hours, and then it was over. Like once I got grounded, it was over.
Wow.
Nothing like that has happened since. And there were no drugs involved, nothing like that. I even smoked medical, and I didn't even have I couldn't even look at my phone. My eyes, it was like I had new eyes. I couldn't look at a screen or anything. Like I didn't even have my pen on me. I didn't even know where it was, or my phone for that matter. I was so caught up in this thing for whatever it was. And so I'm still trying to definitively figure out exactly what that was, aside from the solar flares of April 2020 and my butt going outside and being in it and getting caught up in it. Like that's, or that was just the day that stuff really started awakening within me because of my constant searching for truth. Like I have always been, something ain't right about this kind of person, ever since I was a little kid.
Yeah. Being empathic.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Like it took me a long time to realize that a lot of people aren't empathic. Like they can show empathy, but they're not empathic. Like I knew at a very early age that I could imagine what it was like to be someone else. Like as a kid, I remember walking home from school as like a second, third grader, thinking about that. I still have that memory in my head about me thinking about how hard it must be to be in certain situations, or like, why? How? Or how come no one else is? How come everybody else isn't like this? Like, what?
I have distinct memories of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't fit in, and you know too much about people.
You make them feel weird.
Yeah. And you know whether you like them right off the bat, like immediately. And
Usually.
there's a particular reason why. And so you discover you have a certain set of skills.
Yeah, I think I used to have like my thing was I had too much faith in people. You always think like, oh, deep down they're not that bad, right? They're not that bad, right? They're not that mean, right?
It's funny to say this, but that experience you just described, I've heard other people, not like yours exactly, but very similar. Like,
Yeah.
were going insane. They had all these memories of living another life and different.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say I woke up like that, but I just always had an inner knowing and I couldn't formulate it. And there was no teachers to explain. I didn't know where to turn to.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
you had
You
some
turn
books
inward.
big enough.
Yeah.
No, I totally I feel like I've lived many lives. I don't know how many exactly, but I definitely feel like I have. My dreams are very vivid. They've always kind of been either very vivid and colorful and recurring at certain times. In retrospect, I guess I'm seeing that the recurring ones have been telling me that I need to do something. I need to do that. And once I start doing that, whatever's in the dream that's recurring, they stop and something else, goes on. So
You
that's another
find
part of
that
it.
You're getting those messages just before you wake up mostly, or
Here's the thing, I don't get to remember everything, but I can remember the feeling. I can remember the feelings and like someone put together a really quick montage of images, like it's kind of like that. It's like so it's like I'll wake up and I'll go, oh my gosh, babe, I gotta tell you about this dream. There was this, dang it. Like that's how fast it's gone, like you're just like, dang it, I just had it. By the time you get up and go to the restroom, it's gone, like there's no, but you remember the ones that you're supposed to remember. So they say that it's like that for a reason. And we subconsciously remember them. And it's possible that at some point we will consciously remember them when we need to. That's happened too. So that's pretty cool.
you kind of had a flashback and then it felt like deja vu and they're like, oh yeah, I dreamt that.
Yeah, a little bit. You're like, that's right. I remember that one. Huh. Interesting.
I've had instances where like in an emergency or something, I had to do something and I just do it. And then
Mhm.
after I'm like, wait a second.
How did I know to do that?
I don't know how to do that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it's the dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dream school. There's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff about dream school, and sometimes I feel like I'm in dream school. Like I get these like there's some dreams I can remember where I'm actually being shown these like tablets with symbols on them, and I'm being told that I have to assign them to different versions of myself. And there's no right or wrong answer, but yet for some reason I still feel some anxiety on if I'm making the right decisions and if I'm putting the right tablets with the right life. Does
Is
that make
that
sense?
like the Akashic records, you think, or
I don't know. I've been told that I'm a wisdom keeper. I don't know about that one. Someone did tell me that once. So that means that well, they say we all have the Akashic records. We have access to them once we want to truly access them. It's just a matter of doing the work it takes to get to that point. I don't think they just let anybody see them. But anyway, like I went on to do the TikTok by accident because I have all my kids are older. I was a teen mom. And so like my youngest is a senior in high school now. My oldest is 24. He lives in South Dakota. I have a 22-year-old in Wisconsin, and then we have 3 in the house. Twins are 18. They just turned 18. They graduated last year. And then my youngest, but it's just crazy because it used to be Musically, and they were all on the Musically, and it's all about dancing and music videos and stuff. And I just thought, all right, whatever, I've got my Facebook, and then it turned into TikTok, and I don't even know. I think I just accidentally clicked on a video that was shared on Facebook or something, and it took me to TikTok, and then I was hooked. Like like there was a lot of positive stuff on there. Like it was a lot more than just teeny boppers dancing. It just sounds really bad to say that, but you know what I mean. Anyway, and it turned out to be like, oh my gosh, there's this whole spiritual community on TikTok. What? There's this whole truth seeking community on TikTok. What? And I was like, so I was in it. And then next thing you know, I just kind of I'm a very creative person. I get into that kind of stuff. Like I like making music or making videos and making picture collages. I've done the scrapbooking thing, the digital scrapbooking thing. And like I told you, I used to be in the MSN groups making SIG tags for people, and was doing that whole thing. And I actually used to make PSP tubes for one of the artists. Like he was paying me $100 a month to make his images, his portraits of women into PSP tubes. Does that make sense? No one's gonna know what I'm talking about. It's fine. It was a very small community. It was just a habit, a fun thing that I got into. But anyway, I just started posting, and sometimes I would just randomly share a speech that Trump gave, and that would have like 11,000 views. And I'm like, what? It's just a screen recording of 5 seconds of his speech, but it worked, and that was getting me some followers. And then I just started posting whatever the heck I wanted to post. Sometimes I post trends. I follow a lot of people that tell you how and what to post. So I get my inspiration and ideas and my sounds and just put them all. I kind of just tell my story and talk about my life and my experiences using their little TikTok trends. I think that's what you're supposed to do. I think that's the idea. You take a trend and then you kind of turn it into your own way of telling a story and relating to others. And it's kind of just perfect for who I am, trying to let people know that you're not alone. Because one of the worst things we always feel when we're going through the hardest parts is that we're alone.
Everybody's been isolated, especially in the last couple of years.
I think it's been for good reason, though. I think a lot of people needed to be isolated. They had to be sat down and forced to deal with themselves, I mean, not to make it sound crass or anything, but that's what it feels like to me now in hindsight, was that it was one big timeout for the entire world to sit down for a minute while other stuff's going on too, but to give everyday people the opportunity to sit down and actually reassess their lives. You actually have to deal with that job you hate. You actually have to deal with those people you live with that you shouldn't be living with anymore. Or, people were forced to have to like make those changes. So I think that's overall a good thing. It's a painful process, but I think it was good for a lot of people because I've seen a lot of that. A lot of divorces, but also a lot of marriages and a lot of babies and a lot of growing, a lot of changes.
We moved from the Pacific Northwest to Texas.
Yeah, a lot of people moved to Texas.
Everybody moving though.
That was quite a move.
It's
been
a crazy move for us.
Yeah.
I'll bet that's quite a culture shock.
Spiritual though, like I felt like absolutely I was being guided by spirit. I mean, pretty much I was given a message, go now. Don't talk to anybody, don't tell anybody, and get out. And we literally lived in our house for 17 years, and it was a 5-bedroom house.
Wow.
And we flew out in January to Texas and flew back into Washington, I think at the very beginning of February, and we were on our way out the door by the end of February.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Like less than 1 month, we liquidated our everything. And there was 17 years in a house is a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, no, that's a lot of life lived.
Yeah. It was insane. It was crazy. And Joe's work was very demanding on the week we had to leave, and it was just nothing would stop us. And also there was the ice storms in Texas on so we just missed it. But yeah, I mean, the last 2 years, I can see where, what you're saying is people were pushed to do crazy things.
To make those changes. It's really like to make the changes they really wanted to make. They just were too scared to make themselves. They were forced to make them, and unfortunately, like I don't like to, we don't want to I'm not trying to make light of like people who were like in abusive situations, because unfortunately I think it was them having to face that as well. Like you got to do something, you got to get out of there. There's so many people that will help you, just get out, like just take the first step, get away, make that change, quit that job, leave that person, and the world's going to be better off for it. I know that's coming. So that again, that I guess at some point when I realized I was building a following, once I had my awakening and started going down all the rabbit holes and learning about all of that, that was my major motivation. I had been in and out of college for psychology because I've always been fascinated with psychology and human behavior, especially when it comes to trauma, childhood trauma, and how different people can be responding to trauma. You either have PTSD or you have PTG, which is post-traumatic growth, right? We either like tighten up our bootstraps and keep going, or we let it consume us, and then we develop addictions and depression, and we just give up on life, right? A lot of people do that too. My mom was one of those. So my husband and I both went back into school. We were at U of A. It was Ashford before that, but then they got bought out by U of A. So we were there for a couple of years, both going for our behavioral sciences. But I was very unsatisfied. It's a very indoctrinated university. And I felt like for every course I got excited about, they'd only give me like little nuggets, of what I wanted to know versus the indoctrinated crap that I had to learn, and I could just tell. And there was just certain things I didn't like about that. And then I finally found SWIHA, which is the Southwest Institute of the Healing Arts. It's right here in Tempe. It's actually accredited. They've been here for 30 years. How did I not know it existed? It's a conscious-based college. I can do it online. As a matter of fact, I just got done with my first 2 courses. The first one just being grit, which is just teaching you how to have self-motivation and discipline. I've been an online student now for a couple years, so I know how to do it. And the other class was like intro to intuition, intuitive guidance. So I'm going to be an integrative healing arts practitioner with specialties in intuitive guidance. And then I'll be ordained to marry people as well.
That's awesome.
It's getting busy. So I'm building that following with the idea of, okay, if me and my husband want to open up our own healing retreat, which is our ultimate goal, we want to have our own practice, our own thing, our own land, somewhere sufficient and healthy, but big enough that we can build a few tiny houses, have some animals, have our own food growing, and then have it be a one-stop shop for healing and rest and recuperation. It's kind of the idea.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
It's just the vision. It's just the vision. It's on the vision board.
What's funny? You want to hear something really funny?
Yeah.
I was just looking up things like that in my area.
Were you really?
I'm not even today I did it.
I do not believe in coincidence. It's not a coincidence.
I know. I'm like, you're blowing my mind right now. No, I was looking up. I was like, oh, it'd be cool to go do some sound therapy or maybe do like a little mini retreat somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah. But I want to stay there and be fully immersed.
Yeah. And you have your own little tiny house cabin, right? You have your privacy.
Yes.
You have different types of counselors on site who you can talk to about different things, right?
Yeah.
You have a meditation garden. You can help feed the horses. You can help with the gardening. Like you have, oh, sorry, the alarm's going off for our meeting. Sorry. You have farm to table dinners, lunches, like fresh eggs. Okay. So like, that's the idea. And the kicker, it's not some silly, like, organization you have to sign up for, like membership or something that's gonna sound cultish. Like I always think there's that, there's always that negative voice in your head. People are gonna think it's a cult. And I'm like, no, they're not. It's not gonna be anything like that. It's going to be almost like an Airbnb / healing retreat that is a safe space for everyone that just wants to come and get all the tools they need to heal. That's the whole point. We need the world to heal.
We go to a place called East City Ranch. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Mm-mm.
It's in Washington.
Okay.
UFO. It's a UFO.
Oh, okay.
But they
Very
do
cool.
have healing, and they have like little cabins and yurts and things like that.
Yeah, I
And
want
they
one
do
of
all
those.
kinds of energy work. But the very coolest thing, besides seeing things in the sky every single night, we've never not seen something,
I've seen stuff. Yeah.
is actually meeting new people, like from all around the world that have like in common, a little bit in common, but lots of different experiences and modalities. And yeah, it's so cool just to connect to other people.
I
Yeah.
love that.
To a
Conversations.
central location, but everybody's so fascinating when you
Mm-hmm.
like mind blown conversations all the time.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. I've been having a lot of those lately. Something has definitely shifted recently, for sure.
What do you think's going on?
I mean, I really do believe that the last 2 years has been all about eradicating. I really think that's what's been going on everywhere. I think that's what every little war is about. I think that's what every little thing in the news has been about. It's all been about eradicating and saving the people and rescuing people. I follow Tim Ballard. Like, me and my husband are we're technically volunteers for our rescue. It's Operation Underground Railroad Rescue. And he used to work for the government, but because of all the governmental red tape, and he didn't have jurisdiction in other countries type of stuff, he left and started up his own organization, going undercover overseas, basically buying to catch people who are selling them. And then, sting operations. Tony Robbins actually went undercover with them. Tony Robbins did like this whole special where it was started with a lady in the audience telling him about our rescue. And I actually posted it on my TikTok. I reposted it recently because it just gets me every time. I can watch that thing over and over. But it was the first time Tony Robinson heard about our rescue, and this lady was talking about it, and he goes, okay, well, how much is it to buy out? And she was like $10,000 to $15,000 for the operation and the people and whatever. And he goes, okay, well, get me 10 out. I'll give you $100,000, And that started the audience donating 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. It actually made Tony Robbins cry. And he was just like, oh my God, you guys are like getting me. Like, to see a man like that start crying, you're just like, oh God. So, I mean, like, even the Ukraine, like, Tim Ballard was over in Ukraine when all that first started. So that's what's really going on over there is like, fine. Like, cause he didn't want to get involved, but he's like, fine, he's my neighbor. I'll deal with it. So they went over there and they have been eradicating, because Ukraine is the biggest hub in the world, evidently. So that's what's been going on there. But other than that, Simon Parks, he's the one that I trust to give me the information, and it's kind of what I go off of, honestly, aside from my own intuition when I feel certain things. Like, from the moment I got that YouTube notification, the path from that moment on just led so seamlessly, and it just felt like, I don't know how to, the only way to explain it is like when you're seeing someone talking, or when you're watching something and you kind of see like this light haloing around it as it's coming towards you. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but it's kind of what it felt like. It was like being led to the truth, and there was a lot of work to be done to get to a certain perspective. There's a lot of puzzle pieces. It's a giant puzzle.
There's so much misinformation too. It's like,
And then there is, and it's so hard to decipher through. It really is.
I would just say, like, you have to trust your gut, and the only thing you can do is, investigate, of course, and try to get facts on things, and don't really assume anything is correct. We had a lot of that, but I think ultimately your spiritual compass is your gut.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Trust your
And
gut. Does it
I've
resonate?
always been the type to do that. I trust my gut. I've had to do really hard things in my life just because I felt like I had to, and that's just, I think that's kind of where we are now as we're getting to as a society, as everyone starts to learn some of these truths, as ugly as they are, it's also going to lead us to a better place, I believe.
They don't want to know, Jesse.
I don't think they're going to have a choice at some point, but at the same time, it is what it is. I feel like there are people that aren't supposed to. They're not supposed to know. They're the ones that are here to test us, They're the ones that are supposed to keep us on our paths because you're right. Some people don't want to know, and that will prevent them from knowing. But I think eventually it's all coming out, even in media, in newer movies and stuff. It's being talked about more. It's being revealed. I'm even noticing a trend in like the new Hocus Pocus movie. I wasn't gonna watch it. I heard a lot of stuff, and then my husband said he had never seen the first one, and I was like, okay, now we have to. So we watched the first one, and then we watched the second one, and I saw that there was healing in it. I was really shocked. It was all about healing, and I was like, oh, okay. And then, of course, my husband, he's a scary movie buff. He's not as far along on the spiritual track as I am yet, but he's on the track. He's just a little, and he wanted to watch the Halloween Ends movie. So I was like, all right, I'll watch it with you because whatever. And again, it's all about healing. And I'm like, do you see what is happening? It is happening. The world is starting to heal. It's going to take some time. We have a lot of stuff to work through. Details. I call it details. But everything's on the mend. We are working our way back up.
Wow.
I hope you guys feel that too, because I definitely feel that way.
I try very hard not to get fearful.
Yeah, fear's not good. Don't let fear in.
Talk of war and famine and power shortages. There's all that they're talking.
There's also a lot of media. I think that's the worst part. You can't trust the media. I don't trust this. I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news in probably a decade, if at all possible.
Well,
honestly.
if you do watch the news, just think the opposite of what they tell you, and that might be correct.
Pretty much. I mean, just for me personally, before I knew anything about anything, I just didn't like the news. I didn't like the energy. I didn't like how everything was negative, negative, negative. Oh, look, a cute puppy. Negative, 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 negative. Oh, look, another cute puppy. Negative, negative, negative. And it was like, okay, I think they're just trying to make us all angry with each other and miserable. And oh, lo and behold, I was right. As a kid. That's funny. But I just never liked TV. I never liked commercials. I never liked ads. They all have a different frequency and sound to me. So my husband makes fun of me because he's like, they've got to pay the bills. And I'm like, yeah, well, does it have to have such an annoying subliminal frequency? Probably not.
Straight into your subconscious.
Gives you a freaking headache.
I just wonder what it is that they're programming us with, watching the programs.
There's a reason why they call it that. I've said that too. When the older generation used to call it, gotta watch my programs. That's exactly what it is.
There's so much to the frequency. It goes really deep, and there's many levels to it.
Yeah, for sure. I think I also had like a Kundalini experience when I had my awakening, because it was like I was still laying in bed recovering from chemo and radiation and all that. And it's not, I kind of realized that towards the end of all that it's not cancer that seems to be killing you. It's the treatments that kill you. But I get it. I know, I understand how it works, but at the same time, I have questions about radiation. But anyway, so I got questions. Anyway, I had no strength, I had no energy, I had, you know, like I felt very weak. And then once I had that perspective shift and I started down the hole, like my energy was just like instantly up. Like I felt stronger than I felt younger than I was before the cancer. I felt healthier than I was before I got sick.
Wow.
You were
So,
back,
and huh?
you're back on the path. You were on the back on the rails where you were derailed prior. And so then
Yeah. I
everyone's
was, like I said, I felt like I was given a second life. I was given a um, whole new perspective, a whole new, yeah, whole different person. Like I look at, even looking back at pictures of myself 15, 20 years ago, I'm like, dang, who is that? Doesn't even look like me. I'll send you a picture on Messenger. Like I'll show you like how different I look from then. Like it's just, it changes you. And it's like, and it's not just about truth, and it's not just about healing your traumas. It's about what you consume, like we were talking about, like visually, audio, like food.
Mhm.
You know, I've had my struggles with addictions in the past. A lot of numbing pain pills. And getting off of that, to get off of that, I was researching like anti-inflammatory foods and things like that. And that's when I learned about like blood type diet. And it's just, it blows my mind that 90% of the people I ask don't know their blood type. And I'm like, it's just not a normal thing for people to know their blood type. And I find that strange. Like, why wouldn't you know your blood type? I think it's important.
Now I'm an O. I think negative, but I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, it's just your type, and the types of foods that we eat really make a difference. There are certain foods that say type A could eat and not have any adverse reaction from, but type O eats it and they have a bad, actually it's no, type O usually we are like the best. No offense to any other blood types, but we can
on the roll.
we can handle a lot. But I mean, like I learned that potatoes can contribute to inflammation and arthritis. And potatoes is one of the things that we eat the most. I mean, French fries, mashed potatoes, I mean, chips, and we're eating potatoes all the freaking time. And I notice when I cut potatoes out of my diet, my lower back arthritis, fine, I don't feel it. You know, can't have dairy, can't have gluten, can't have soy. But that's just, oh, I'm O blood type too. But you know, my husband, he's type A. He's actually supposed to be vegetarian. He doesn't like to hear that. But he'd probably feel like a whole new person if he stopped eating meat for a while, because his blood type supposedly is not supposed to have it. You know?
It's one of my hardest things to overcome because I know it stands in between what I'm eating and my health.
I think because my body, once I turned like 31, I couldn't eat anything anymore without suffering the consequences. You know, cheese, that's one of, you know, I miss cheese so much. Like, you know, like a good mac and cheese, like a baked mac and cheese or something, probably making you hungry right now. But all I gotta do is think about that headache I'm gonna get, or, you know, my body just doesn't give me, it doesn't let me enjoy that type of stuff anymore. But then I'm also been doing like cleanses lately. I've been on a supplement called sea legit, and I've been taking raw sea legit now for a little over a month. And I'm noticing that when I do have a little bit of cheese, I get away with it. So it's almost like it's kind of like helping me clean the gut out, because they do say parasites is another issue. Geez, how many things can we talk about today?
For sure. We're all about we read a book about parasites not too long ago. They can actually make you do certain things. The parasite in your body
Control your behavior
can control your behavior.
in order to
I believe it.
beneficial to the parasite.
Mm-hmm. There's times when I crave sugar and I'm like, that's not me craving that. You know what I mean? Like, that's not me. I don't want that. Something else wants that, or it's hard. It's hard. I'm one of those people, like, I can stop myself from buying it, but if it's in my house and I know it at around 11 p.m. ish, I'm gonna be tiptoeing down them stairs, opening up the fridge in the dark. Yeah, no. No, I mean, it's been a long, so much has changed in me and my life in the last 2 years, almost 3 years now, that it's just crazy. But it's also amazing to see it happening in so many other people too. Like, I'm meeting all those people that are like telling the same stories that I haven't figured out how to tell yet, or it's like strumming my pain with their fingers, like they're just singing my life with their song. And it's like, and I'm like, okay, there's a lot of people going through the same thing. That's not a coincidence. You can't convince me that it is.
Well, that gives me hope.
Oh, that's the number one thing you have to have is hope. One of the things I'm learning the most in my 41 years of age is that what you believe tends to be what is real.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easier said than done, but change your beliefs, change the way you talk to yourself, change the way the voice in your head talks, and everything else will change too. Like, that's a major thing. A lot of people are negative. They're negative about themselves. They're negative about the future. They're negative about their kids. They're negative about this and that. And what keeps happening? The negative.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some friends like that. Those are the ones that they make me feel like Phoebe and Friends. I can't teach you because everything I say, you're like, no, I can't. No, but, no, but, no, but. And the no, but people, they're just going to be the no but people. They are the no but people. So who are you? Are you a no but people? Are you a but I got this people? Yay!
I'm a believer. Words are spells. They have substance. They definitely, I mean, if I forgot the name of the scientist, but they did the water study where they put words into the water and they froze in different ways, all the negative stuff.
Like that little image you have up here on the screen. Like, they look like that. Like, they form shapes that, like, unique and designed. And that, again, you can't tell me that's coincidence.
It's sacred geometry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all about energy. Everything is energy.
Absolutely.
It's really, really hard to wrap your mind around that. But when you start to accept the fact that everything is energy, it changes the way you look at everything and how you treat it.
Well, you're just absolutely glowing.
It's hot in here. No, I have no air.
Well,
I'm actually like sweating a little bit.
baby, you're hot too. I'm like get some of that supplement you're taking.
Oh, the sea legit, yes, it's so good. It's like molasses. It's like black tar, liquid gold. So I don't know. I discovered it through a company I used to work for. I did the MLM thing once. But it taught me a lot of stuff. I learned a lot from that experience. And it taught me about networking, social networking and stuff like that. But there was this stuff called Revitalize, and it was like you added it to your water bottle, and a friend of mine gave it to me. I had a hangover and I drank that whole bottle and I was instantly like cured of my hangover. I felt great. And I was like, what is that? And what is in there? And I've been all about trying to find natural sources of energy and clean detox and cleansing out and maintaining. And sea legit is one of my favorite next to collagen. Those two are like my heavy hitters.
We discovered glutathione not too long ago.
Glutathione.
Yeah, it's Well, you know, that virus that's been so nasty for the last few years.
Yeah.
Gee.
The
Ooh.
flu. Sorry. I mean, wink, wink, wink.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were just like, you know, we caught that, and it was a couple weeks of misery, but I wasn't getting my taste back. Everything tasted,
Oh no.
and
Yeah.
so finally I broke down and took this supplement because I had heard it was a good defense for that. And yeah, I felt really good. So it was remarkable, the change.
Heck
And
yeah.
then I know everybody knows about turmeric, but Joe's been giving us turmeric supplements, and
Yeah,
it's
I've got
just straight
arthritis.
root.
Night and day difference.
It's been
And MSM too. That's funny. MSM is a good one too for that. But yeah. Hey, anytime anybody, believe me, with 6 of us in this house, 3 of them being teenagers, it probably went through our house about 3 or 4 times, I'm sure. I think I got it once or twice, but really my symptoms were very minimal. It was like, but we also did the whole orange juice with tonic water, the quinine.
yeah.
And we'd get elderberry cough syrup and gummies, and then we would have Dayquil. And then just with the mixture of those things, no one was sick long. And a lung cleanse. I found this natural lung decongestant. It was for people trying to quit smoking, to help you like clear out your lungs faster. But I found that it's good for congestion as well. It just clears out all the crap that's in your lungs. So like if with people and getting this particular flu, they were getting a lot of chest congestion. So it was good for clearing that out, especially with our mother-in-law who lives with us. She's high risk. So yeah, I mean, we just did the natural thing, and no one really suffered for longer than 4 or 5 days.
I don't know
But
why it took us a bit.
The congestion afterward lingered until we started taking the glutathione, and then it was like it just
I'll have to look into that. I've not heard that one.
it helped to clear it out a lot better.
That's good. Oh, I'm glad you guys figured it out.
I was watching a channel and somebody said this is a good defensive supplement. So of course I stocked up on it, and I'm like, why aren't we taking this? I have a bunch of
We
it.
have like 2 cases of it.
Nice.
Put it on auto refill, and it just
Yeah.
kept coming.
No.
It's hard. Consistency is hard.
Oh
There's
yeah.
so many supplements.
Oh yeah, for sure. There was one thing we talked about before we got on the show. You said you were a part of a collective consciousness group.
Oh, collective consciousness. Yes, with Simon Parks. After all the rabbits, or during the rabbit hole searching, I found Simon. He's pretty close with like Charlie Ward, and Simon's in the UK. His parents were actually MI6 and MI5. He used to be a mayor I believe he's in Liverpool. Don't quote me on that one. Somewhere over there. And he realized how what's the word I'm looking for? Compromised it all was, and how tainted it all was, and criminal it all was. And so he got out of it. And that's when he started connecting consciousness, because it was about, we needed people to come together spiritually and start coming back together as humanity, to knock out that 1%, whatever you want to call them. And like I said, watching him and following so many people, like I wanted to follow so many different types of people across the board on all sides of it, so that I could get the bigger picture, because it's the only way you get all the information. You gotta get all the perspectives. And he was the only one that I felt was, I feel like they all know what they're talking about, but a lot of them tend to want to get famous. They want to start making money off of it. Simon's just not like that. He pays attention to the news in the UK, he pays attention to the news in the US and everywhere else, and he puts it all together and he gives us updates. I believe he's really just about starting the healing movement. The only thing I've seen him really sell is root. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's like a detox cleansing. We're getting into the cleansing era. Everybody wants to cleanse. Everybody wants to get these potential parasites out. I actually have one up on my shelf that I have not started yet. My first para cleanse. I'm scared, but at the same time, I feel like I've kind of been doing little detoxes and little cleanses. So hopefully it won't be that bad. Things are usually
went for a round. We went to the Dominican Republic and we think we picked up an amoeba.
Oh no.
A couple.
And so we wanted to make sure. It doesn't.
Hey, I follow the Worm Queen on TikTok, and she's always posting stuff about how in other countries they do parasite cleanses twice a year regularly. It's like a normal thing there to do that.
In my research to find what we needed naturally, I found that there's like a dozen remedies for this particular diet that they do, and they do it, like you said, a couple times a year.
I think it's a lot of wormwood and stuff like that.
I would recommend to anybody watching. I know it sounds really gross, but just I wormed my kitty 6 months ago, and guess what? I found a worm today on my cat. So like, and she hasn't been outside. So I mean, I don't know where they come from, but I would suspect a lot of people are sick from them and don't know it.
Yeah, they do say that parasites tend to be the culprit behind a lot of ailments and illnesses because they're taking up space, they're causing problems, they're taking our nutrients from us. They're the ones craving all these horrible things we eat. I mean, they really are, because that's how we live.
They totally can. It's a scientific fact. Oh,
yeah.
Fun fact.
It is, but I mean, you know, look, you do your own research. Everybody should always do their own research and talk to your doctor if you have one. And, you know, just I did my research. I watched lots and lots and lots and lots of reviews because, you know, I wanted to make sure I got the right one. And we're going out of town this weekend, so I'll probably do it when we get home. But yeah, I'm gonna do it. Gonna do it. I'll keep everyone updated on my TikTok page.
My parasites reminding me I need to go out and get a box of ding dongs after the show.
I like ding. Those are one of my childhood, like, yeah, nostalgic snacks, Twinkies, all that good stuff. Yeah. I'm also down to the weight I was at when I was 20.
Wow, girl.
That's the sea legit. But I also got a part-time job that's kind of physical, so I've been getting like my workout daily as well. So it's kind of, that's helping a little bit.
Get a little bit in. That's good.
Yeah.
Good policy for that. Have to check out that blood type.
Yeah. It's a lot to look into. Hit me up. I have the type A supplement book, so I can like give you some of the stuff that's in there.
Oh, cool. Is type A for O's?
No, there's type A, B, and O.
Yeah, we're O.
Yeah, so you need a high protein diet.
That's good to know.
I'll have to revise the barbecue plans.
It's not been good to us in that regard. There's too much good food.
She keeps saying she wants to start eating vegetarian, and I'm like, I just bought a giant smoker. We can't. You can
have lean red meats. Lean red meats are good, just not too often. Like filet, get yourself a T-bone.
I have to tell you, I just don't want to eat it.
Not a steak person?
I will now, but I mean, I've gone on and off for eating meat. I haven't eaten pork in
there's a variety of vegetables.
35, 40 years. Too, I don't eat pork at all. But
I haven't for a while. Yeah, me neither.
Beef occasionally, but I don't enjoy it. I'd rather eat a mushroom or a cauliflower or
That's good.
That's
good.
It's just out of convenience that I'm eating meat at this point. Because it's, you know, it's a pain in the rear to plan for vegetarian and vegan rather.
Yeah, it can be, but I feel like it's getting easier. The shelves are changing in the grocery stores.
Oh yeah, all the
I've
nut milk.
definitely noticed.
The nut
Yeah.
milks are great. I can't have dairy anymore either.
Yep. Nope.
Just shop around the perimeter of the store. Don't go into the.
Yeah, Joe said
Before.
don't go into the center of the store.
Stay around the edge, the outer edge. Yep. Your produce and your deli, and that's about it.
And I looked in the cart and I'm like, everything in there was like stuff that makes you feel good. I got a
Yeah.
lot of vegetables, just a couple of different meats, and
Mhm.
yeah, I try to stay away from the processed stuff.
Well, it is kind of a catch-22. I feel like you can still have some of those things that you enjoy, but it's within reason, it's in moderation. And then once you get to a certain point of health too, like when you're feeling, if you feel fine, you feel fine, you feel great. But if you're trying to get healthier and you want to feel better because you're dealing with some type of autoimmune or ailment or something like that, then you got to be patient with yourself and you got to get yourself to that point first. Then you can start like rewarding. You can have a reward system, but you can't go all out. I think a lot of people, like myself included, have been guilty of this. Like you give in and have fast food, and then now you're having fast food for the next 3 days
I
because
wonder why that happens.
it's just whatever chemicals are in there that whatever is in us is craving, you know? That's really what it is. It's that chemical that we're craving, those chemicals. You know, it's sad to say, but like that, it's an addiction of its own.
Oh,
Right.
I believe it.
You have to detox off of that, just like a drug addiction.
You really do. I mean, I know it's hard. I know people quitting caffeine, you get a headache, or if you don't get enough calories in, you get a headache. And it's like some people just can't push past that. You know, it's hard. Self-control is hard. Self-discipline is hard. I know. We all have our vices and our weaknesses for sure.
Well, it's been so great talking to you.
It really has. It's been fun. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
I will be looking up your TikTok channel and checking out all your new updates. I'd like to hear how it goes. And you said you were going on vacation?
Yeah, my husband has a softball tournament in Vegas, but we're staying in Paw Rump. Which it sounds like it's going to be gorgeous because it's on the other side of the mountains and it should be really nice. It's about an hour away from Vegas, but also there's like a lot of gentlemen's clubs there and I'm like, okay, could be interesting.
Well, we'll be keeping in touch. You'll have to come back on the show real soon when you get back.
Awesome. Yeah, let me know.
Thank you. And we'll be watching for your next interview with Simon.
Oh, we'll see. All right. Thanks, guys.
Well,
Thank you.
Have a good one.
you too. Bye.
You can reach Jessi via TikTok, Instagram, and email. Amplify your energy with crystal tools for psychics and healers at asaricrystals.com.